Good morning, my dear students, friends. Yesterday, in last class, we already discussed about the what is agriculture economics, the definitions of agriculture economics. So, definitions given by the different agronomists, agriculture economics, and the importance of agriculture economics were already discussed. Now, in this class, we will discuss about the nature and scope of agricultural economics. What is the nature of agriculture economics? What is scope of agriculture economics? So, after completely watch this video, you will able to learn what is the nature of agriculture economics, what is scope of agriculture economics. The scope of economics, agriculture economics is very large. At the same time, nature of agriculture economics is also very clear. So, here I would like to say some few words regarding this event, and also I would like to express my views regarding the nature of agriculture economics and scope of agriculture. Before going to the presentation, I hope you are all safe at your homes and take care about the COVID-19 pandemic and take all necessary precautions to avoid the COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, at the same time, I would like to give some instructions to you regarding these videos. After watching the video, you will give feedback and you are understanding or not. So then only I can uh, give some later videos clarity. So it is very important. So by WhatsApp group or by personally call me. Otherwise, you can give me a mail. So what are the important changes may be done, or otherwise it's okay, it is good. So please tell me by different forms of channels. So now I would like to present my presentation of nature of scope, nature of agriculture economics, and scope of agriculture. My dear students, listen carefully about this presentation. So I hope you're all uh, see this presentation because I am unable to ask you directly because this is offline mode. So first I would like to share my views regarding the nature of agricultural economics. So agricultural economics is both a social science as also natural science. As a social science, it does not differ significantly in its scope from general economics. Here all know general economics in first year. You're already learned about microeconomic concepts, macroeconomics concepts, public economics, and Indian economic policy, etc. But in micro and macroeconomics, there are a lot of economic concepts and basics will learn. As well as in agriculture economics also, the same concepts we are using in the ongoing cons. So agriculture economics is both social science as well as natural science. As a social science, is it does not differ significantly in its scope from general economics. So a farmer's activities, decisions and functionings are greatly affected by society, which in turn is equally affected by the farmer's decision. So farmer activities. So what is a farmer activity? Farmer activity is by growing crop and selling his crop for a good profit. And for growing the crop and selling the product, what he is doing. So this is called decisions of farm, and functionings are greatly affected by society. So in society, everywhere, every mankind need to they had to agriculture is a part of every mankind, because every man has hungry, they require some food. So it is given by the farmers. So farmer activities, decisions and functions are affected by the society. So is equally affected by the farmer's decisions also. So to that extent of farmer's decisions are affected by his own psychology or social institutions and the religious and other factors. So here the farmer's decisions are affected by his personal or his own psychology or by the social institution. It means maybe demand and supply conditions and other religious factors. Now, other factors may also affect the decision of farmers' decision. So his activities cannot be measured in a precise manner, as would be possible in a laboratory or experiment. So here, agriculture economics is a social science. Why? Because the farmer decisions and our farmer psychology is depend upon many factors by the social institutions, religious, or other taboos. You cannot predict. So there is you cannot measure by laboratory or any other experiment. That's why you can say agricultural economics is a social science. This is one nature. In this respect, agricultural economics is a subject to all such influences as exist with the domain of social science. So agricultural economics is a subject to all such influences as exist with the domain of social science. Here, in these two aspects, agriculture economics is a social science, no doubt at all. So economic calculations would therefore follow the same standards of accuracy or inaccuracy as in general economics. Here, you can say one thing: economic calculations, either cost or return, or how much of crops grown by the different farmers, or what are the different crops grown in a country or a state or a district. So, in which manner they are doing. So, these all measures can be calculated in concepts like general economics, demand and supply, elasticity of demand, elasticity of supply, consumer surplus, production, productivity, and like this. So these concepts are related to general economics. But here we are applying the economics concepts in agricultural economics. So this is the one nature. On the other hand, agriculture economics is a natural science. So before we discuss agriculture economics is a social science. Now we are discussing agriculture economics as a natural science. As a natural science, it deals with through examination and evaluation of scientific innovations suggested by soil scientists. Here, soil scientists are very important. In soil, in the land or soil, it contain different forms of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash, NPK. So in the soil, naturally, soil has some nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash uh, ratios. The general ratio is 4 is to 2 is to 1. If the 4 is to 2 is to 1 ratio is there, there is no problem for soil. As like if you take man, the man health, we have some heartbeat, we have natural, some blood sugar, and there's some BP, and normal BP is like this. If all are in natural or all measures are proper, the man is good. As well as NPK ratio is 4 is to 2 is to 1 in the land is also good. The plants in the land is grow uh, healthy. So then, if the plant is not growing properly, then soil scientists will suggest some measures to the farmers by doing soil test. That is called scientific thing. So in this way, this in this manner, agricultural economics is not a social science. Why? Because here scientific activity is involved. So soil test is a scientific activity. Soil scientists are scientists. They are not social scientists. So in this way, you can say social agriculture economics is a natural science. In fact, agriculture economics owes its origin in the present form to agronomy itself. We are all known in last class we discussed the all agricultural economists came from agronomy. So before they are coming as agriculture economists and agriculture science, their professors are all the professors belong to agronomy. So first the agriculture economics tried a separate discipline by the agronomists. So we are already discussed in yesterday class. So here in this way, agriculture economics we can say it is a applied science. So agriculture economics essentially considered to be an applied science for the sole reason that it is the practical wisdom of an agriculture economist rather than the volume of his theoretical knowledge without practical orientation that makes the difference in agriculture pursuits. Here agriculture economics in some manner you can consider it is a agricultural science. So it is a science. Why? Because agriculture economists, rather than the volume of the theoretical knowledge, without practical orientation, that makes the difference in agriculture. Suppose a farmer followed only theory and his knowledge, based on his knowledge, is growing crops and he's selling crops. All these aspects relate to social aspects. If he followed a practical orientation like soil test and he's giving fertilizer and pesticides to the land in a proper scientific manner. In this aspect, agriculture economics is a science. It is applied science. So this is the basic difference of agriculture economics. So the definition we are already discussed. Different economists are the given definitions to the agricultural economics. So the nature of agriculture economics is unique because of the important role that nature plays in its working. In no other economic phenomenon as agriculture is the nature so directly and strongly involved. So nature is very important for agriculture economics. If suppose paddy or horticulture crops, the paddy requires some natural conditions. In the conditions only paddy will grow. Black gram or green gram we take in the particular seasons, in particular climate conditions only they will grow. If we take apple, if we take pomegranate or some other crops, we take custard apple. So these fruits or vegetables or cereals have to farmer have to require some climatic conditions. These all climatic conditions are science. So in if you take Simla apple, we cannot grow apple in our paddy fields or otherwise our mango gardens. Why? Because they require some scientific and climatic conditions. If you provide that scientific and climatic conditions, then we will can grow. So in this way, agriculture economics is a science. It is called applied science. So otherwise, it is a theoretical manner. It is a social science. So the nature of agriculture economics is unique because of the importance of role that nature plays in its working. No other economic phenomenon as in agriculture is the nature so directly and strongly involved. Another is the problem of maximization of returns. Therefore, more complex and solution to the problem more uncertain. So here, every farmer try to get maximization of his returns. Therefore, more complex and solution to the problem more uncertain. Why? Because if he proper utilization of land, labor, and capital, and other fertilizer and pesticides, so we can get maximization of returns. So can use returns of maximization. Otherwise, you cannot get maximization of returns. So in this way, agriculture economics will help to the farmer. Varying agroclimatic conditions, economic systems, soil fertility, and soil capacities lead inter-regional and intra-regional heterogeneity in the agriculture production conditions. So you are all know as a students of economics, varying agroclimatic conditions. I already discussed about the apple and paddy and other horticulture crops. So based on agroclimatic conditions only, the farmer can choose the which crop is better yield they can give. In uplands, horticulture may be better option. In lowlands, paddy may be better. So, based on water availability, irrigation facilities, and other climatic conditions, farmer can choose the which type of crop can grow in their farm fields. So, at the same time, economic systems. So, the economic system is which type of economic system is following by the government or people. In a towns, you cannot grow paddy fields. In rural areas and villages, only can grow paddy. Why? Because in rural areas, the different economic system is there. In urban areas, the different economic system is there. At the same time, soil fertility. Some of the soil, if you take forest or a mangrove forest or other arable lands, these lands are not will be used for sowing. Does it mean they are not used? Some type of lands not used for agriculture. So fertile lands will only use for agriculture. So only fertile. They require some irrigation facilities also. That's why. Unfertile lands they are not used for agriculture. So at the same time, varying agroclimatic conditions also important. In Jammu Kashmir or Simla and some uh, uh, cold climatic conditions are very useful for some crops like apple, etc. In some conditions, uh, some semi temperature and rainfall is also very important to grow the different crops like paddy, horticulture, etc. Here, the agroclimatic conditions, economic systems, soil fertility, and soil capacities lead inter-region and intra-regional heterogeneity in the agriculture production conditions. Suppose take Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is a major crop is paddy. Why? Because in this area, the land or soil fertility or climatic conditions is favorable to the paddy. If we take Simla or Kashmir, there is climatic conditions and their soils are better to grow apples or some other crops. So this type of activities and this creates the problem of differential achievements under different geo-economic conditions. So you all know well the different parts. There are different crops are going. So another the problem of agriculture production are therefore multi-dimensional and the subject of agriculture economics as to develop in the light of these problems that it seeks to investigate and work with. So what are the problems involved in agriculture production? So the agriculture production problems are multi-dimensional. Either farmer to farmer, it's a different problems may arise. So another subject of agriculture economics has to develop in the light of these problems. What are the problems facing by the farmer while they growing his crops? You would take information by studying taking some samples like this. Then only we can investigate and work with. Then we can give some policy suggestions to the problem. In this way, this is also nature of agriculture economics. Seasonality is yet another factor that distinguishes agriculture production enterprise from other non-agricultural activities. So, by seasons, we have three seasons in India: Kharif, Rabi, and Jiyar. In Kharif, we can grow the number of crops. Why? Because in irrigated tracts and unirrigated tracts also plantation can do. In Rabi, it means Kharif June to November. After November to March or April can grow Rabi crops. Rabi crops means there is we can there in some majority of the parts of India there is no rains. Only rainy season is only Kharif. In Rabi season there is no. But by using canals or bore wells and other modes of irrigation, we can our farmers can grow the crops. In some of the farmers, based on the agriculture climatic conditions, they can grow uh, black gram or green gram like this. So season is very important for agricultural economy. So based on the seasons, farmers try to grow their crops. So some of the crops may be sugarcane like this. The entire year they can grow. After that, ratoon crops also there. Sugarcane is a ratoon crop. Then you need for second year. There is no need for plantation. So the crop to crop is a different. It is depend upon season. So this is also one another important. Naturally, therefore, market fluctuations are more sharp and frequent in agriculture. So agriculture is the first private activity in any country. In India also, agriculture is a private activity. So that's why it is depend upon market fluctuations. Sometimes some crops may grow by the farmers very high, and sometimes uh, uh, crops may not grow by the farmers. Why? Because they followed market fluctuations. If you take some slow growing crops now, before independence, the crops are major importance given to the some crops, ragi, jowar, bajra, like this. Nowadays, our farmers are given less importance to that crops. Why? Because they are not important and they are less important crops nowadays. Why? Because based on price, based on demand, based on like this. So market fluctuations are more short and frequent in agriculture since the very nature of agricultural enterprise is such that it involves the whole family in its pursuit for livelihood. So in agriculture, or agricultural enterprise is such that it involves the whole family in its pursuit for their livelihood. If suppose any agriculture family, there is no another work for their family members. So agriculture is the only activity for their livelihood. So it differs unequally in its organization and institutional setup from non-agriculture pursuits. If you compare with non-agriculture activities or non-agriculture pursuits, so agriculture activities is different. So agriculture, non-agriculture, if you will take an employee, so it is a non-agriculture activity. So if suppose you take a teacher or student, what is the activity of student or a teacher? They they wake up and ready and they follow timings. In non-agriculture agriculture activity, that is a different criteria based on the of some other activities are there. So if clearly you can say that agriculture activity is different norms and non-agriculture activity has different norms. So before this theory is applied to agriculture, which includes besides crop production, forestry, and animal husbandry. For this purpose, economic analysis its principles have to be modified so that their postulates totally tally with the main feature of the situation of obtaining in the agriculture sector. So, what is the nature of agriculture economics? Agriculture economics, the one angle, it is a social science. In another angle, it is a applied science. We are already discussed what the in what criteria we can treat it as a social science. In another criteria, it is a applied science, and it is called natural science. So, in this way, we can give some clarity about the nature of agricultural economics. A few examples will make it clear. Study in economic theory, price formation under various market structure. So, we already discussed. So, general economics concepts will use in the agriculture economics also. So, what is the general economics concept? Monopoly, perfect competition, and oligopoly. So far as agriculture is concerned, it is presumed that as the number of farms is very large and at the same time their size is relatively small, the crops produced are undifferentiated, homogeneous. Perfect competition is likely to prevail in the agriculture produce market. So, what is the nature of agriculture economics? That it is agriculture economics or agriculture produce market is a perfect competition. Why? Because in perfect competition in general economics, what is the assumptions of perfect competition? The number of sellers and number of buyers. In agriculture also, there are number of farmers and the number of landhold. So in this way, agriculture economics or agriculture is like a perfect competition. You are all known the different market systems. So the modification of the economic principles required to be made before being applied of agriculture are so large and varied that there is a complete justification for studying agriculture economics as a separable body of knowledge. So by using the economic principles required to be made before being applied to agriculture, there are so large varied that there is a complete justification for studying agriculture economics as a separate body of knowledge. So there is no doubt we are using general economic concepts like supply, demand, uh, elasticity of supply, elasticity of demand, consumer surplus, the market principles, and everywhere. So, but these principles, where it will exactly work, you can know through study the agriculture economics. So, this is the nature of agriculture economics. Now we go for what is scope of agriculture economics. So, no doubt, scope of agriculture economics is very vast. There is no limit, not limited. The scope of agriculture economics is a vast. There are number of forces active in agriculture. Some of these forces are physical and are taken care of by the physicians. So, agricultural economic scope is vast because some of the forces are physical and some take care by the physicians, chemists, geologists, soil scientists, and so on. Why? Because agriculture is relevant for the not only farmer, apart from farmer, agriculture is giving employment and some concentration is given to the some others also. What they are? They are physicians, chemists, geologists, soil scientists, and so on. geologists also, and so on. We cannot mention what they are. From time to time. Some of the measures are required to take part in agriculture. So some others are biological forces from physical forces. Some other forces are also there. What are they? The biological forces, which are studied by plant and animal physiologists, pathologists, geneticists, entomologists, and bacteriologists. These are all scientific scientists, physiologists, pathologists, geneticists, entomologists, bacteriologists. If we take in the fields uh, before going to plantation, a farmer take and a farmer arranges seed bed. Farmer grow seed bed. So for seed growing seed bed, from traditional seeds are also there, hybrid seeds also there. So hybrid seeds are designed by the geneticists, entomologists, and some while growing the crop, some bacteria or some pests may come to the crop. Then there is a need of bacteriologists. Some pesticides are uh, investigating and investigated by the some of the scientists. So agricultural activity requires some physiologists, pathologists, geneticists, entomologists, and bacteriologists. Like this, so many people are involved for the agriculture activities, indirectly or direct. And at the same time, geologists also required for agriculture activity. Why? Because water is a main input. If going to before nowadays technology is vast, so once geologist can check, so here water is found. Then if you uh, dig a bore well there, plenty of water will come. So their geologist role is also in agriculture. So in agriculture, the role is very vast. Now, here mean the scope of agriculture is very vast. It is not limited to the farm. So that's why in agriculture, some of these forces are physical and that some of the forces are biological. So this scope is extended to many people. We are already discussed. So agriculture is also faced with economic and sociological forces, which are characterized by relationship arising amongst men on account of agriculture being followed as a vocation and way of life. So agriculture also faced with economic and sociological forces. So agriculture requires some investment. It is economic. Agriculture also requires some sociological force. So every day you can eat. Some festivals also related to the agriculture activities. So which are all characterized by the relationships rising amongst the men on account of agriculture being. So this day in our home they are doing Varalakshmi Vratam. So this type of activities, some they require some patri like this. So some plantations are required. So many festivals are related with the social conditions of the agriculture activities of the dwelling. So here also agriculture activities are role is vast. The scope is very vast. It is with this relationship that agriculture economists deal. So these relationships comprise of relationship of contact. It is supplementary or complementary or competitive between the different branches of the enterprise, such as the simultaneous rising of cereals and animals on the same. So you can see in villages, a farmer can grow their crop, a paddy or green gram or black gram and other horticulture. At the same time, for their livelihood, they can grow animals, uh, the cows or buffaloes or bullocks, some sheep, goats, like this. So here, a crop and the animals are supplementary. Sometimes uh, complementary works also there. Uh, Nowadays, the technology is going, the tractors are using. So before that, every household or every farmer is rearing bullocks for their agriculture. Bullocks and crops are complement. So sometimes competitive relationships also may be there. So, so between the different branches of the enterprise, such as a simultaneous rising of cereals and animals on the same farm. So the relations are supplementary or complementary or competitive. So relationship of activity between the different means employed in the process of production, as in the simultaneous employment of machinery and human lab. So the different means employed in the process of production. You are all known factors of production. What are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and organization. So these different means employed as the simultaneous employment of machinery and human labor and capital simultaneously farmer may use. There is also scope for machinery use and scope for labor use. So relationship of values between means employed in production and the product itself. So the land, labor, capital, and organizations employed for the production to grow for the society and the product itself. So in some areas, some of the farmers producing for their livelihood. The majority of the areas, their livelihood at the same time they are used for society also. In some times, agriculture activities, the many industries are dependent on agriculture. Suppose take textile industry. So textile industry requires cotton. So poultry. So poultry requires maize for the feeding of hens. So this relationship is vast. So if there is a crop, we'll take sago industry. There are some sago crop requires. So here the industry and agriculture, they are interrelated. If you take sugarcane industry may work for 6 months or 9 months. In some areas, sugar industries are closing. Why? Because the sugar cane farmers are decreasing. Farmers are not interesting to grow sugarcane in some areas. Why? Because they, when compared with the profits, other crops, the farmers may not uh, graze the crops by the factory. So that's why if all these activities are involved, demand and supply. So the relation when employing the labor, land, and capital organization, uh, they involved some theories like demand and supply. So their relations with the demand and supply. So commercial relations with the people to whom farmers sell their products or from whom they buy their requirements. So in their what are the requirements for the society? The farmer has to do and has to grow this required uh, commercial crops like this. So in this method, there is a commercial relation. So farmers, if you grow cotton or paddy or maize and some other crops, farmers try to sell their crops to better price. So in this way, there is some commercial relations are there. So in this way, we can explain the uh, scope of agriculture. So agriculture economic scope is vast; it is not limited. So again, agriculture economics as at present does not confine itself to the principles concerning economizing of resources in agriculture only, whether at the micro or macro level or from static or dynamic point of view. You can see agriculture economics in micro point of view, can see agriculture economics in macroeconomic point. So from static to dynamic point of view also can explain. So in this way, agriculture economics scope is vast. The scope of agriculture economics is larger than the mere economizing of resources. So agriculture economics is larger than the economizing of resources. Agriculture is we know the importance sector of the overall economy. The mutual dependence of the various sectors of the economy on each other is well established. Growth on the other sector is necessary for the growth of the other sector. As such, in agriculture economics, we also study how development of agriculture helps the development of the other sectors of the economy. We already explained interdependence of the sectors, agriculture and industry are interdependent. Without agriculture, there is no industry. So without industry, there is no agriculture. So there is interdependence. We already explained. We are all wearing clothes, short pant and other inner wears like. So raw material is from coming from agriculture sector. So there is a interdependency. How can labor and capital flow into the non-agriculture sector? So we are all see in the pandemic, many laborers coming from the towns to rural areas. So before that, they are all agriculture laborers. So they went for earn so much more money to the non-agriculture sector. Nowadays, the environment of pandemic is not well. Hence, they are coming back to rural areas. They are searching their employment in agriculture and allied activities. So this is the very interrelation. How agriculture development initiates and sustains the development of other sectors of the economy. So here in this way also, we can say the scope of agriculture economy is not limited. It is so vast. What this implies is that agriculture economics not only develops concerning the use of scarce resources in agriculture proper, but also examines the principles regarding the outflow of scarce resources to other sectors of the economy and about the flow of these resources from other sectors into the agriculture sector itself. So you can say agriculture economics will use the resource efficiency and how to use the resources in the within the agriculture sector itself. So for the other sectors also, you can study in the agriculture economics. So the agriculture economics scope is vast. So now stop the sharing and so regarding the agriculture economics, scope of agriculture economics. In yesterday class, we had discussed about the different definitions. So based on the definitions also, we can explain the scope of agricultural economics. Here, the domain of agriculture economics then covers the examination of each element of agriculture production, whether in connection with any one of the above named relationship in particular or with several of them together for the purpose of obtaining greater net profit. It is clear from the above statement the Jujier. You know Jujier? Yesterday, Jujier is one of the agriculture economists, defined agriculture economics. So in Jujier, that he looks upon agriculture economics as the science which deals with the principles underlying the coordination of all the factors involved in farming and land, labor, equipment, and the various lines of production in such a manner as will enable the farmers to secure the maximum net profits. The art of applying these principles in a given farm. We can thus describe the scope of agriculture economics in the words of Taylor, who says, do you know Taylor? Taylor is also agriculture economist. He given a very good definition to the agriculture economics. Agriculture economics deals with the principles which underline the farmer's problem of what to produce and how to produce it, what to sell and how to sell it. So in order to secure the largest net of the net profit to himself consistent with the best interest of the society as a whole. More specifically, it treats of the selection of land, labor, and equipment for a farm, the choice of crops to be grown, the selection of livestock enterprises to be carried on, and the whole question of the proportion in this which will these agencies should be combined. These questions are treated primarily from the point of view of the cost and prices. So here, these are all elaborated. Why? Because the agriculture point of view, Taylor also, we can say the agriculture economic scope is very vast. Can we include the scope of agriculture economics, distribution of processing of farm products after they leave the farm and consumption of food and clothing by the urban population? The answer is naturally would be no. Otherwise, steel manufacturing and automobile industries would be treated as part of mining. But this does not mean that agriculture economics has nothing to do with the problems of distribution and consumption of farm products. Indeed, it is as important for farm people understanding the economics of distribution and consumption of farm products as it's for them understand the economics of their farm production. They are therefore part of the economics of agriculture. So the scope of agriculture economics is thus extended to the distribution and consumption problems of farm products as well as to distribute among whom to distribute on the what basis to distribute, what to consume. Question study of agriculture economics also includes the functioning of government in agriculture. To neglect the public management, public aid, and public regulation as parts of the agriculture economics would be almost like leaving mechanics out of the course of physics. So here government is important. So government should involve in the agriculture activities and consumption is important, distribution is important. All this consumption or distribution or production All the activities are involved in agricultural economy. Government role is also important. So to be specific, the scope of agriculture economics can stated to include the choice of farming and occupation, the choice of farm and livestock, machinery and labor, crops and the cropping systems, the size of the unit of production, the grouping of the four factors of production, intensifying cultivation, manuring, irrigation, soil conservation, selling of agriculture products, land system and rent, agriculture finance and rate of interest, wages, employment, prices, costs, profits, standard of living, and national dividend, etc. Can discuss all these things. Why we are discussing the scope of agriculture economics is with all these activities. That's why we can discuss in the forthcoming units and concepts. So the main problem in all cases mentioning about the choosing the most profitable enterprise and operating in the task of agriculture economics is point of what is best do in the economic interest of the agriculture community under the given conditions. So from the above points, we may conclude that the scope of agriculture economics is very vast. Within its scope must be included in every phase of a nation activities that in any way affect the developing ways and means by which each productive unit may show organized and operate. So we conclude that scope of agriculture economics is not limited, it is vast. So by the hope you are all learn about the nature of agriculture economics and what is the scope of agriculture economics. Scope of agriculture economics not limited, it is so vast. It is related with the production point of view, consumption point of view, distribution point of view, and government side, the consumer side, the farmer side. Can discuss anywhere. So the agriculture economic scope is very vast. You also know about the nature of agriculture economics. So today in this topic can discuss nature of agriculture economics and scope of agriculture. So we are already discussed about the what are the references for this nature and scope of agriculture economics. Should I give some textbook names? Fundamentals of Agriculture Economics by Sadhuvan Singh. At the same time, another textbook, Leading Issues in Agriculture Economics by R.N. Soni. So these two are the reference books for this concept, nature of agriculture economics and scope of agriculture economics. I hope you are all enjoying this video. So for the assignment, you can briefly and write in a short form. Write a short note on nature of agriculture economics is one question, and another question is write answer to the scope of agriculture economics in a short notes. So the by August 16, you can give me mail through email. You can send the answers to these two questions. So the reading material will be supplied by WhatsApp group and the email also. So thank you for listening with patience. Thank you for the greatest opportunity given by the pandemic. So thank you for one and all to listen this video. Thank you very much.